It looks like we're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. Things seem to be working. Hopefully you can hear me. Good morning, good afternoon, family, friends. Hopefully you can hear me and see me okay. Say hello in the comments. Let me know you're here. And we will get started on today's message, which is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? If you're preparing to throw something into the chat, I'm looking at the chat now. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. Good morning, Jamie. Great to see you as always. Thank you for being here. I just got done with a wonderful meeting. You know, I can't help but think about all of the wonderful people I meet because of what I have allowed into my life. I hope that that makes sense. But I am, in awe of the things that other people around me are doing that before my eyes and my heart just weren't open to seeing and hearing all of the things. And every day I explore what those possibilities are, what's out there, what are people doing, and how are they working to make the world a better place. And I just love that I get to do that. I just got done with a meeting with a friend of mine here. We're working on some changes to her website, and just hearing about the things that she's doing and the story behind all of it. You know, the transformation. I have a friend of mine named Sean that does a podcast show, and it's really about the transformational moments in people's lives that wake them up, shake them out of the fear, the anxiety, or the doubt that they live in, and cause them to take action towards pursuing their dreams. And isn't that why we're here, right? Isn't that what I've been talking about all along? It's just, what is it going to take for you to wake up tomorrow and say, you know what, I'm done. I'm done living for other people. I'm done living for other things. I'm done chasing things that other people think I should chase, and I really want to start living for me. That's not the point of my message today, but I felt inspired to say it, so I did. That's the great thing about this show, right? If I feel inspired to say something, I can say it. The Daily Dose of Dan. There's your dose. If you're joining us, just let me know you're here. And Will, if you're here, I've got some comments for you today. But yeah, so where do you see yourself in 5 years? That kind of ties into what I was just talking about. Are you going to wake up in 5 years and see yourself in the same place as you are right now? The same work, the same life, the same fears, the same anxieties? Maybe a little more income, maybe a few more years on you, maybe your children are 5 years older. I don't want that for you. I hope that that's not what you're thinking about right now. Look, I know, and I've talked with Jamie about this. I know that you came here for a reason, and I don't know what that reason is. You might not know what that reason is, but if you showed up here, you were here for a reason. Our job isn't always to figure out what that reason is, but to listen to our hearts and follow those things that just seem right in the moment. Now, I'm not saying you should do bad things because they feel right in the moment, right? But truly evaluating, you are able to distinguish right from wrong and understand that what feels good isn't always right, to make that distinction as to what you should follow. And anyway, so we don't always know what those reasons is, but I do believe that we, you and I, are here for a reason. I came here for a reason. I don't fully understand what that might be yet. I may never know, but I'm going to continue to pursue it until it doesn't seem like the right thing to do anymore. And as long as you keep coming here and chatting with me and sharing in these messages and these journeys, then I will continue to show up. So our goal is to listen to those things, right? Not to try and figure it all out. Will commented yesterday on our post. He wasn't able to make it live, but he did come back and share some thoughts that I did find interesting. So he talked about the opportunities that he saw that existed all around him. Some of the inspiration he sees as he goes about his day, finds himself asking what's possible. And I know we've talked about asking that question. What's possible? What does this make possible? You know, if something happens in your life, instead of looking at all of the factors involved, what if we just took the time to say, you know what? That meeting didn't go as well as I'd liked it to have. Or that interview didn't go as well as I'd liked it to have gone. Sometimes English eludes me. But in those moments, if you just took the time to say, what does this make possible for me? Well, maybe that interview was supposed to go the way it did because there's another door that's open for you. Good morning, Angela. Great to see you. And Will is cleaning up because he gave a puppy a haircut. That's awesome. But yeah, so, you know, what does this make possible for you? You know, when one door closes, there's another one that's open. We don't always see it. It's not always right in front of us. And sometimes we have to do the work to get there. But what does it make possible for you? Now, so he gave some examples. You know, could I turn this field into a working farm with warehouses and an active crop? By the way, Will, it doesn't matter what type of crop it is. The image is the same. What I saw most in his comments, though, and he gave a couple other great examples. Good afternoon, Will. Good to see you, buddy. I was just talking about you, so I'm glad you're here. You gave some great examples in your comments yesterday, and I just mentioned one of them. But what I saw most in your comments was that this is what most people do. This could be great, but, or what if I could do this? I just don't know how, right? That's kind of the theme I saw coming from your comments is you have some wonderful dreams, aspirations, and ideas that you see in the world around you. But too often we see those things. Many of us see those things and we go, well, I'd really love to be able to turn this into something special. But, and we list off a number of reasons of why we can't do those things. Instead of asking the question, well, what would have to be true in order for this to be possible? Number one. And then what would that make possible for me? What would that make possible for the world around me? Now, I don't know how to get there, right? I don't know how to finance those adventures, or I don't know how to build it, or there's something else that you're saying to yourself. And that's really the focus of today, is we aren't meant to know all the plans that are laid out for us. Our job is not to try and figure it all out. Our job is to listen to our hearts, to face our fears, embrace our abilities, and move in the direction that we are called. And so if you see that field that could be beautified into a wonderful growing farm of whatever crop, you know, what would have to be true in order to make that a reality? And then what kind of creative ways can you think of to move in that direction? And along the way, maybe it doesn't turn into everything you dreamed initially. But what else would happen along the way? What else would be possible along the way for you if you just took the initiative today to start taking steps in that direction? I don't know how to finance building a new farm with all of those wonderful things that you talked about, the warehouses and, you know, I don't know, security in your case, but, you know, or government interaction, you know, whatever it is. What steps would you have to take to just start on that journey? And then by listening to what our hearts are telling us and our minds are trying to convince us against, you know, by just listening and opening up our minds to what could be possible, I imagine that you'll find something along the way on your steps towards achieving that initial dream that might change your direction. They might not change your direction, but you're going to find things along the way that make other things possible. You never know where you're going to go until you start. I don't know which path to take on a split trail, but I know that if I just choose one and start down the path, that I'll find out where it's going. By the way, that leads to the story, right? The path less traveled. So look at the way the grass is growing, and start wondering why nobody's taken the right path and everyone's taken the left one. Dare to be different today. I probably got off track here a little bit. Let me look at my notes. Yeah, so we're not always meant to know the plans that are laid out for us. Our job is to listen to them and discover and the problem is that as we grow older, we get away from those dreams and those realities, and we start living others' realities, right? Other people's expectations, or our interpretation of other people's expectations for us as adults, as responsible contributors to society. And I shared a link with y'all the other day about Dreamers, the premiere that's coming up. And all of those people that are on the list, let me see if I have the list pulled up. I don't. But all of the people on the list were people who were once told to get their head out of the clouds, that they should do something with their lives that was meaningful and purposeful, and what other people's vision of that was, right? You'll never build this FedEx thing that you've planned out. It will never work. Well, I'm here to tell you today that FedEx is a thing. Amazon, Jeff Bezos, another one. You'll never be able to do this. This is just not something that's going to work. Well, $26 million a day that Amazon is spending in India to build their infrastructure, I'd say that Amazon worked pretty well. But everybody doubted Jeff Bezos when he started that project. The Virgin Airlines and all the Virgin companies, people doubted him as well. His name eludes me at the second, but the point is that people told him to get his head out of the clouds, that he was just dreaming, and that he needed to come back down to earth and do something with his life. Well, I'd say he did. Go to college, get a good job, put your dreams aside, get your head out of the clouds, and do something with your life. That's what we're told to do. That's what becoming adults is. That's what being responsible is. And I'm here to tell you that that's just flat wrong. It doesn't have to be that way. Don't let all of those outside influences crush your hopes, your dreams, your desires. It's time to get back in touch with them. It's time to start living life for you, discovering your purpose, your calling, your passion, and pursuing those. That's the whole reason I think I'm here right now. I don't know for sure, but that's what I felt inspired to say. That's not in my notes. So those desires at that point, they start to, as we grow and listen to all of those influences in society, parents, and everybody else sharing the lessons that they've heard taught to them. All of those things those desires start to bring worry or fears that we didn't have as children. What if I do this thing and it flops? What if I start out to turn this field into a productive farm and I can't find the money to finance it? Do you quit, or do you look at creative opportunities to make that thing a reality? If we took Amazon apart right now, I told you that they're spending upwards of $26 million a day in India to help build infrastructure. If I were to look at building the next Amazon, I certainly couldn't compare anything that I have right now to what they have. and it would seem so far out of reach that I couldn't do it. But what if Jeff Bezos had thought, this is too far-fetched, I can't do this? We wouldn't be where we are today. Elon Musk, right? Another one. What if he had said, well, there's too many competitive automakers in the industry and they're all working on electric vehicles. This will never work. No, he didn't. He said, you know what? I'm going to produce an electric vehicle that people love. And they do. And it's effective. And now he's building rockets and all kinds of other stuff. But those are my thoughts for today. So what are you going to do? Are you going to continue to quit? Or are you going to start looking at creative opportunities to live out your hopes, your dreams, and your desires? I started this out with asking you, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? I don't want you to wake up tomorrow in the same place as you are today. My hope and my dream for you and for me, is that tomorrow we embrace those new opportunities, those new thoughts, those new experiences, and we start living them. Before long, we'll wake up and realize that we've spent the last 20 years doing so much for other people's version of what our lives are supposed to be, that we never had the opportunity to do the things we were probably meant to do. And if you're dreaming it, you were meant to do it. That's my thought. I'd love to hear your comments. Share them with me, if you will, in the chat. And yeah, that's my message for today. Don't wake up tomorrow doing the same things you're doing today. What's it going to take for you to break free from yourself? I mentioned that my friend Sean has a podcast, and that's really what it's all about, is those transformational moments. And too often I hear these tragic stories that lead people to finally breaking free from those chains that have bound them for far too long. Laura, wonderful to see you. Laura's a longtime friend. I think, yeah, so Laura and I were junior high school, maybe earlier, friends. It's wonderful to see you. And she says that it's a great message. Thank you, first of all. And thank you for being here. Somehow this seems to apply to my whole life, not just professionally. Yeah, Laura, I'm not here talking about just professional. I'm talking about growth in life, growth in profession, growth in entrepreneurship, growth in whatever aspect you think this message applies to. That's really what I'm here talking about. And I'm just sharing from my heart. I don't really have a agenda. So I appreciate you sharing those comments. Jamie says it was a good message and a much needed reminder to be better tomorrow. I need to finish this degree to be better. Don't get me started. I think you're pushing my buttons on purpose. And I'm just kidding. I know that that's what you're working on, Jamie, and I'm proud of you for it. Angela says, solid advice, Dan. Thank you. Don't do tomorrow what you did today. I'll try to remind myself of that every night. Laura, yes. She said junior high. Yeah, like 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, I think it was here in Virginia, was our junior high school years. And Laura lived down the street from me. We have family and friends in common. And it's just been, yeah, it has been a long time. And we are getting old, but I think that's, well, yeah, that ties into what I was talking about today. Don't spend another day doing what you did yesterday. Don't spend another day doing what you did today, unless that is living your fullest life. And again, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate all of you. As you know, some of you have heard me say it over and over. I'm truly grateful for those of you that are here, those of you that are engaging in the comments. You inspire me to be better each day. And just to come here and share these thoughts with you is I don't know, it's impactful for me as I think about all of the things. Push, push, push. Jamie, you're so funny. I'm trying to tackle one thing at a time. If I multitask, I found my efforts compromised instead of focused on one thing at a time. Yes, yes. Sometimes we just have to focus on one thing at a time, Jamie. There's nothing wrong with that. Will says, I have to remember that all these thought exercises aren't going to mean anything if I don't execute. When I see opportunities, I should work towards seeing what it might actually take to see them to fruition. Hey, you got to start somewhere, right? Rome was never built in one day. I think we've all heard that, and I think it's applicable to what you've just said. Is we can't build something in a day. I love hearing from Damon Johns, his story, right? Fubu was not built overnight. Damon Johns did not see success overnight. He didn't see success in under a month or under a year. 12 years, I think, is the number he put out there. What it took of him beating the streets every day, showing up on sets where people were producing music videos, to hand out his hats and t-shirts, asking these people to wear them in their videos before it finally caught on. The same 12 t-shirts he carried around with him from set to set, and then had to take them back afterwards. I love hearing that story because it's true. Nothing that people you see today who are successful was built overnight. My aging brain can't handle multiple tasks at once. Jamie, mine either. Mine either, believe me. And yeah, right now your degree is your focus. There's nothing wrong with that. My only question to anybody pursuing a degree is why? Why are you pursuing that degree? Was it because of someone else's perception of what the world should be, what you should be to be part of that world? Or was it something you truly wanted to pursue for your own reasons, your own motivations, that internal, intrinsic motivation, right? Those internal desires that drive us. And if not, I would personally reconsider what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I'm not saying that that's you, Jamie. I'm just throwing it out there because that's me. I'm not going to college based on other people's interpretation of what people should be doing. And if I see something that strikes me, that's usually when I take a college class. Oh, that looks interesting. I want to learn about that. Or I want to learn more about that. Then I'll take a class. In this particular case, I'm taking 2 classes right now that I'm not happy with at all. But that's because the VA came back and said, if you don't take these classes, we're not going to pay you anymore. I said, oh, okay, fine. I don't want that vocational rehabilitation benefit to go away just yet. I might want it when I see a class that I can enjoy. Jamie says, because upward momentum is not entertained without a stupid piece of paper. Also didn't want her GI Bill to go to waste. Yeah, no, I agree. And upward momentum, as other people define it, would be my challenge to you there, because upward momentum to you isn't necessarily what other people say upward momentum is. You've listened to me for several weeks now, and you know exactly what my thoughts are on this, and that is that you get to define, you get to choose what upward momentum looks like to you. And if the degree is what you need to get upward momentum in your version of success, then beautiful. That's exactly what we're here for. If not, what are you going to do to change it? So yeah, that was my message for today. I don't want you to wake up tomorrow feeling, doing, thinking the same things that you're doing today. Let's see what Will says. Will says, Command Sergeant Major retired Payne was a PhD, and many folks made a big deal about it. He sat the NCOs, the non-commissioned officers, for those not familiar, down and said he knew that most of the people in the room were smarter than him. His only difference was that he worked to get the degree to prove it. Yeah, well, who's he proving it to would be my question. I think it's a great inspirational message, but then I look at it from the other perspective is a PhD. Got it, Will. I look at the other perspective and say, well, who do I have to prove something to? Do I have to prove it to you? Or do I need to prove to myself that these things that I'm doing are the right things to do? And that's a simple answer for me. I only need to prove it to me. And if getting a degree is going to prove that to me and to confirm my beliefs for me, then great. If it's to prove something to someone else, I don't care that much. I'm sorry, I don't care what other people's views of me are to that extent that I'm going to go do something that I probably won't enjoy to show that I'm smart. And I think that's great for Sergeant Major Payne, not taking anything away from him. I just think that we often share the message like that to prove to someone else that we have what it takes. And you know what? I just need to know myself that I have what it takes. And that's why I'm here. I have what it takes to be here every day and share some thoughts that ideally people want to hear. But even if you weren't here commenting, even if you weren't here telling me that the things that I'm saying are meaningful to you, I think I'd still be here sharing, at least for a little while, because I needed to prove it to me. Jamie says she's not proving to anyone her level of intelligence, and a degree will not prove jack. I agree. So what are you doing to prove to yourself, Jamie, that that's true? Will says, I suppose it really depends on what your goals are. It does. It absolutely depends on what your goals are. And if your goals are to prove everyone around you that they were wrong, that's certainly a possibility, right? I have heard those stories too. People who grew up and everyone around them told them that they would never amount to anything. Well, here they are today to rub it in your face that, well, not only were you wrong, but I'm living my best life and I'm okay with that. I suppose part of that's my story too. Or at least I'm working on it. And then Angela says, to me, a degree is just an easy way for people who don't have a way to get to know you over a long period of time, your prospective employers, to know how much of a commitment you are willing to make to one thing. That's a good perspective, Angela, and I appreciate you sharing. All right, yeah, I'm done rambling. I don't want to take anything away from people who are working hard on the things that are meaningful to them. And if it's meaningful to you, definitely keep going, but think about why you're doing the things you're doing. And if they're not meaningful to you, what do you need to do to change it tomorrow? All right, well, that's it for today. I appreciate all of your comments. I appreciate your engagement. I hope that today's message was meaningful for you, impactful to you in some form or fashion. Don't forget, we can always carry this conversation into our Facebook group, the Clarity Collective members, and I will I will see you all at the same time tomorrow. Thanks so much for being here. Have a great day, everybody.